Coming up next on BYU Basketball with Mark Pope, the Cougars wrap up a 3-game road swing by showing out in the Show Me State. We'll look back on a big weekend win and ahead to another in-state showdown with the coach of the Cougs and Hunter Erickson next.
This is BYU Basketball with Mark Pope, presented by Siegfried & Jensen. And now, your host, the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
Well, welcome back inside Studio C at the BYU Broadcasting Building in Provo for another edition of BYU Basketball with Mark Pope. We are joined by a few fans here in Studio C. Good to have you with us. For those watching live, we invite our viewers to take part in our live public opinion polls via the Opine app. You can get the app on your phone, then open it up and watch the side of your screen for poll questions throughout the show. You can also take part through social media using hashtag Pope Show. Use that hashtag to submit questions that Coach Pope will answer during our weekly Q&A segment. All right, coming up on tonight's broadcast, we will look back at last week's games, including the win at Missouri State on the weekend. We'll have Caleb Lohner joining Jerem Jordan in the film room. We'll preview tomorrow night's in-state clash with Utah State. We will take your questions for Coach Pope on social media, and Hunter Erickson will be our in-studio guest. All that is coming up. And now, fresh off his team's 3-game road swing, please welcome into Studio C, BYU Hoops head coach, Mark Pope.
How are you? All right. Good to see you guys. How are you? Hi, guys. How are you? Good to see y'all. What's up?
Welcome back, Coach.
How are you, man?
Good to see you.
Hey, guys.
Well, yeah, I mentioned the road swing, and road is where you're spending most of December, as it turns out.
On the road again. Can you continue?
Just can't wait to get on the road again.
Man, I wish I knew the rest of the words.
Making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
Yeehaw!
On the road again, like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. That's all right. We're good now. All right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thanks for bringing that to the show.
Actually, super impressive.
So impressive, wasn't it?
Wow.
Yeah. No, really, this is you formulate the schedule. You get one home game in the span of, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it was. Is there an objective that you have in mind with a month like December?
That was like the greatest moment ever. Yes, so a lot of objectives. One, we talk about this all the time. We want to play the toughest schedule we can, and we are. We just finished 3 straight road games. We come home, and then we are back on the road, and we're playing against great teams, and it's teaching us. In media today after practice, it was brought up that we played 3 big-time star centers in a row in Utah Valley and Missouri State, and now going to Utah State. So every single time we get to see great competition, we get a chance for our guys to learn and grow and understand what concepts mean. And so it's awesome. Our goal is to become the best team we can by the end of the season. We said it over and over and over again. It's to get better every single day, and playing great competition helps you do that.
And as all this is going on, with the challenges you've had, your team has begun to look different by necessity over the span of a few weeks. Yep. What you thought you were going to have in September is not what you have in December. And granted, every team has some kind of modifications, but It's been pretty dramatic here the last couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, we've dominated every team we played on the glass. Literally dominated. I'm talking about, I don't know what we're fifth, plus 14, plus 15. We're out-rebounding some of the best teams in the country. And then Missouri State, we walk in halftime, we have 0 offensive rebounds. I'm like, this is way different. But the guys are figuring out a way to win. We got to kind of remodel what we're doing, which is actually super exciting. Sometimes in the course of a season, you have to rewrite who you are as a team, and it makes you better at the end of the season because it makes you more versatile. And so that's what we're in the process of doing right now. It breaks my heart that we have to do it with less personnel right now, but that's what we got to do.
You just used the words super exciting to describe what you're dealing with right now.
Yes.
Way to go.
It is. It's actually, it's the process of growing is really fun and super painful, right? But that's what we're doing, and I think our guys can feel it. I think the last week has been terrifying and really sad in some ways and really disappointing and also energizing because it gives you new challenges to face and new ways to have to rethink what you do, and growing is inspiring.
You got yourself a 1-1 week last week on the road. You dropped a bit in the polls, but I thought it might have been a bit harsh considering how highly ranked Utah Valley is right now. I don't think people realize just what that team is right now. That said, you stay in the poll, and it's a road split. And road splits are in a lot of seasons. Road splits, what you're hoping for to stay in races and stay in polls and things like that.
Yeah, and it's a really good road split too. You think about we played three. We went 2-1 on the road in the last 3 games, and 2 of them were in-state games. And in-state games are always a unique animal. And then one was on the road, and we talked about this. We talked about how this Texas Southern game that we played at home was going to age really, really well. What did Texas Southern do? They went on the road to Florida last night and won by 18. And that game is going to age incredibly well. And so is this Missouri State team. Dana Ford is a great coach. The team is really, really talented. And that's going to age well. The farther we get in the season, people are like, on the road to go beat those guys is really incredible. So super excited about what our guys accomplished.
And let's take a look back at last week. We'll get to 2 games, Utah Valley, Missouri State. The highlights and stats are presented by Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU athletics. So BYU playing in Orem for only the 2nd time all time. It was BYU and UVU last Wednesday night. Both teams off to kind of maybe a sluggish start. Things picked up toward halftime, and this game was tight throughout, Mark.
Yeah, it was a great gym and a great atmosphere. It was what you'd expect from a game where 2 teams just 5 miles apart get to play. And it was actually the first time that I've been back in that gym in a competitive way since I coached there. And there were so many storylines in the game. And it's we love these in-state games. They're just really special. Utah Valley played great. Mark is doing an unbelievable job there, and it was actually a sensational game. It was really fun.
Very competitive. Your points per possession number, both teams were under 1 that night. It was that kind of game.
Yep. Yeah, it was a slugfest for sure. There was a ton of juice in the gym and a ton of pressure and some energy and. We lost Gavin just a few minutes in the game, and that was actually that was the part of it that was that you just cannot, you can't come to grips with. It was interesting. Leanne was sitting right behind our bench, and when we finally were able to speak, after massaging emotions for a day or two. Leanne was just like, she was sitting there and she was like, I couldn't decide if I was going to throw up or if I was just going to burst into tears. And I think that's how all of us felt. It just was, sports is, I believe that sports is almost always fair in the long run. And there are just some unique circumstances where there's just no explanation and it's not fair and it just rips your heart out, and there's actually no solution to it. And that was certainly, at the beginning of that game, it was, it's one of the worst moments I've ever had in athletics.
And I want to go back to that moment just for a second, because he's coming back in transition defense. I think it was a break the other way, and suddenly he's crumpled on a heap under the basket or near it, and he was motionless. Yeah. And so when I see him that motionless, I'm thinking, well, did he hit his head? Because he almost looked unconscious. Yeah. But in reality, looking back, he knew what had just happened, and I think he just felt, what did to one knee, I've just done to the other, and he almost couldn't move a muscle based on what he just realized in that moment.
No, that's exactly right. So he was running back in transition, training the play, and he was just going to plant to jump and try and block a shot, which Gavin Baxter does really well. And as he went to plant, he just kind of got pushed a little bit, and he actually never, as he dropped to plant, he actually never started going up again. He just crumbled on the floor. And he said, I went and saw him late that night, and he was just, it was like, he's like, he laid there motionless, exactly like you said, because I knew, I just knew exactly then and couldn't believe it. And, here's a young man that is now on his 3rd season of having fought back through a whole season of not having a chance to play, and there you see it, and I don't know. This is one of those rare moments where I'm having a tough time finding where it's fair, but the one thing is he's going to be a stronger human being than any of us ever will be, and he's a great young man, and he's got great things ahead. He just got engaged, and he's going to have a great life, but that was super tough. It was super disorienting.
Is this it for basketball for him? Because I saw a tweet from him, and he thanked Cougar Nation. And I was reading into it, maybe a little bit of finality, or maybe I shouldn't have been. Or is it just too soon to even think about what's next?
Yeah. I mean, even if he came out and said something final, I wouldn't believe him. Whether it was he was done or not done, I just won't believe him, because there's no way he's in a frame of mind right now to know. I mean, this is. It's one thing to kind of hear a story, and it's not another thing for, Leanne and I have had the privilege, the honor of like walking through this journey with him for the last 2.5 years. And so it just is, he's had to dig so deep into his soul to like keep going. So it just is going to take time, right? And he'll figure out what's right for him. But I don't think he's going to figure that out today.
So that's how your playing week began, with the loss in OT and the loss of an incredibly athletic and important player. And you had to go right back out on the road. There was almost no time to truly conceptualize what you just dealt with to get ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, and I know we're going to go to Missouri State, but before like the gym at UV was so full of complicated feelings too, because we have guys that have played, that have dedicated their whole career to BYU, in the sense of, this Blaze Neal did amazing things here, and Kobe Leifson and Connor Harding did amazing things here, and they're at Utah Valley now, and so there's these super complicated emotions about how, like, Gavin was devastated, and we were devastated about taking our first loss, and all the stuff that comes with that. And then you're so happy for, like, Mark is one of the best human beings in the world, and these young men have given so much to BYU. And so it was just super interesting in that moment of that game. It's like, I'm so happy for those guys also, because I know what it means. And so it was like, I don't know, you could tell I'm still trying to deconstruct all that stuff. And I was happy to, like, shut the door and have to get ready for Missouri State.
Which you had to do, and yet it was a quick turnaround too. With all that, and I bring this up to a lot of people. One of the hallmarks of your program since you've been here is when you lose one, you don't lose another one. You always bounce back from victory, or from defeat with a victory in the next game. So in all the regular season games you've had, you've never yet suffered back-to-back losses, but that was going to be the challenge last week, was how do you overcome the midweek loss, the loss of Gavin, on the road, to stay on the road and try and get a win on weekend. We saw a few clips already from Missouri State, but what a challenge.
And Gideon misses the whole week, sick. And Tijon is, by the time we get to Missouri State, Tijon is not deathly ill, but he's like hanging on by a thread. And Trevin Nell is super sick. And Caleb Lohner actually was the front end of the sickness, and he's just barely trying to find his way back. And so the team was like disheveled, right? And
now go win a game.
Clearly, I was super emotional, and then we had to go on the road and play a great game. And that's why, walking out of this game, I'm telling you, I've been so blessed to work with incredible young men here at BYU. And as proud as I've been, this might equal any moment of how proud I've been of guys because of the way they responded. They were unbelievable.
BYU ends up with a double-digit win, or rather a comfortable enough win by the end of it. And it got tight, too. You had a double-digit lead early in the second half. It's got down to a one-point game late.
Yep. Tijon Lucas, unbelievable. Alex Barcelo, unbelievable. Caleb Lohner with his physicality was incredible. We had so many guys. Seneca Knight, stepping into a starting role, and Trevin Nell kind of for those guys for the first time. We had so many unbelievable. Spencer Johnson was out of this world, right? And it was all fostered by just the toughness inside those guys. It was really spectacular.
It's your backcourt tandem. You see their performances in that 6-point win. Alex Barcelo with 21 and Tijon Lucas with 17. And you alluded to him already, but what Spencer Johnson's doing for you as a sixth man right now has been pretty impressive.
When you look at that stat line for Tijon, he doesn't want to talk about his 17 points or the 50% shooting or the 3 rebounds. He was hyped about his 2 blocks. He's a rim protector now. And so he was great. And, Alex just brings it every single night. And then Spencer Johnson has just been playing such a massive role for us. We talked about this, like, Spencer's still coming off the bench because it's selfish of me. He's such a security blanket. You're so grateful as a coach when you have a player that you know exactly what he's going to bring in a spectacular way every single night, and Spence just delivers. He delivers every single night on the defensive end and the offensive end. It's such a luxury to have him, and he was huge in this game.
You mentioned a moment ago Tejon Lucas's blocked shots. Alex Barcelo picked up his second career double-double in the UVU game, but it was points and rebounds, not points and assists.
Yeah, Alex coming up with 11 rebounds, and then in this, am I wrong? Why did I think in this Missouri State game he had 4 steals? Is that correct?
He did.
He had 4 steals. Alex is just filling up every area of the stat sheet right now. He's just showing that he can impact the game in every single way, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. Speaking of which, post-UVU, Alex Barcelo had no words. Like, he did not speak for 3 days. He was just so determined to find a way to right the ship, and that's the only reason that a team can respond and go on the road and win that game is Missouri State, because you have guys that are built like that that are just so determined to get better. He's an unbelievable leader.
Do guys know when AB's like that to just let him stay in his head? Don't try and get him out. Let AB deal the way he does?
Well, I think more than that, I think guys follow. Like, I think, when you have a deal where you lose Gavin and Gideon's gone and we've already lost Rich and, like, we've had our first loss of the season and it's to an in-state game, which the in-state games are always emotional. And so you're kind of disoriented with all that emotion. And then you just see how Alex has refocused himself. Then it's kind of like, oh, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. And so just his example, I think our guys jumped on board like, yep, this is how we're going to roll. Fine. You know what? I'm not going to feel sad. I'm not going to have doubt. I'm not going to question or lash out. I'm going to refocus, and I'm going to go get a game. And he's a great leader.
So Coach talks about no Baxter, no Harward. BYU's down bigs. So with BYU down those players, sophomore Caleb Lohner is having to play bigger and was a big part of BYU's weekend win at Missouri State, scoring 10 points, pulling down 6 rebounds. Here now, Caleb Lohner takes us inside the film room with our Jerem Jordan.
All right, Caleb, what did it take to regroup after the loss of Gavin Baxter and the loss to Utah Valley to go beat Missouri State?
I think it was just a continual effort from the team to do what we do and know that, hey, we're going on the road, we're going to play a really good team, and we can't think about what just happened this week. We got to go take care of business, and that's exactly what we did.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of plays. First half, you kind of fumble the ball, get it back, and then jump hook it in.
Yeah, I just remember going, facing up, kind of did one jab, got in the middle, and one of their guards digged early on me. I thought he fouled me, but came up with the ball and kind of just went right back over my left shoulder and bounced in. And we talk about winning 50-50 balls all the time, extra possessions, and I mean, that's a perfect example to me of a 50-50 ball.
That was a tough matchup because now you're playing kind of the 5 as BYU went smaller in that starting lineup. So, defensively, a little more length on you.
Yeah, a little bit bigger, a little bit more length.
Okay, second half, you face up and you go up quick for a jumper.
Yeah. I think I was just kind of opened up, saw what he was giving me. He kind of backed off a sec, so that's just a little easy baby short corner jumper.
Just laid it in, nice and easy.
Laid it in, I got the roll.
Okay, we fast forward to 54 seconds left. This is a big bucket. You catch a miss and lay it in.
I actually thought Spencer was making it, but I knew I was going to be right there in case. Right after Spencer shot it, he kind of left me, giving me kind of a wide open roller under the basket. No box out, a clean rebound, and a finish.
And it was a hostile, intense crowd. That was a big moment in this game.
Yeah, that was a big finish.
Okay, and then about 30-ish seconds left, and you get tangled up here, and there's some words, there's an intentional, and there's a technical.
Yeah, to me, that rebound, I was like, I just sealed the game.
Yep.
So,
you skied for that one too.
We've been battling all night, and so after I got that rebound, I was like, let's go home with a win.
Now you kind of rolled on the fall. I thought that was well done by you.
It was a little bit of a roll, I'm not gonna lie. I think I was just exhausted too. My body hit the floor and said, just stay.
Yep, exactly.
But no, that was a good, big moment for our team to win that game on the road at Missouri State. It was a fun game.
Good showing from Cougar Nation too.
Yeah, it was super fun. We had lots of Cougs in the house, as usual.
Yep.
Cougar fans are the best, so.
Okay, big week. Creighton on Saturday, but first Utah State on Wednesday, and I can't wait for a Justin Bean, Caleb Lohner rebound battle. That's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, will be fun. And being at home, we got Cougar Nation in the house. It's going to be packed. It'll be fun. It'll be a battle.
Okay, good luck Wednesday.
Yep, thank you.
And that's Caleb Lohner and Film Room. For your day-to-day Cougar Sports play-by-play, watch BYU Sports Nation with Jerem and Spencer Linton. Weekdays, noon Eastern, BYUtv and BYU Radio. When we come back, we'll preview BYU's third in-state game of the season. Utah State visits the Marriott Center tomorrow night. We'll look ahead to the Cougs and the Ags next as BYU basketball with Mark Pope continues. Stay with us.
BYU basketball with Mark Pope is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen, helping Utah families for over 30 years. And by Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Welcome back to BYU basketball with Mark Pope. Here's tomorrow night's game day schedule. BYU and Utah State, 6:30 p.m. Mountain, 8:30 Eastern. Countdown to tip-off with Jerem and Tyler Haws on BYUtv, but half hour before that, we'll have radio pregame coverage beginning. So an hour of pregame on the radio. The game will tip off at 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain on BYUtv and BYU Radio. And then stick around for both postgame coverage on BYUtv and BYU Radio right afterward. Well, of the teams in the current KenPom Top 25, of which BYU is certainly one of them, only 3 teams have faced a tougher schedule than BYU, a fact reflected in the first net rankings releases of the season. BYU came in 24th and 20th, Mark, in the first 2 days of the net.
Yeah, and I do, so the net's a little different in KenPom because the net doesn't have any preconceived notion. It just is going to rank you based on your body of work. That's why it doesn't come out till 8 games into the season. But it is indicative of what these guys have accomplished so far and the difficulty of the road that they've had to travel.
And I'll bring up UVU again. That's a highly ranked net team right now, and they've lost 1 time on the season.
Yeah, UVU's 81 right now. They're doing a great job. They have, I think, won 4 of their games have been overtime wins.
Right.
And so they're doing terrific, and we expect that they will remain, in that top. I think it's the top 135. We need them to remain in that top 135 just for our future.
To stay at quad 2,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Challenging start to the season rolls on tomorrow night with BYU playing its 3rd in-state game of the year. It is the Cougars and Utah State. The Aggies looking to win in Provo for the first time since 2004. 4 straight losses in the Marriott Center since USU's last away win in the series. Of course, there have been a lot of neutral floor games in that time since 2004 as well, playing in Salt Lake a lot. But either way, Cougs and Ags, a team against which BYU's done pretty well in the past. Last year was a memorable win for you guys at the Spectrum up there.
Yeah, it was a huge game for us. It was a tough game. It's always tough when you go to the Spectrum. And this is a great team. They've already logged some great wins. They won their holiday tournament, beating Oklahoma in the final of that tournament. They're playing at a really, really high level. Their new coach, Ryan Odom, I have some family relationship to the Odom family. Dave Odom was a heralded coach at Wake Forest who retired not long before I got there, and we became very close, and his son Ryan's doing an unbelievable job there, and they've had an incredible start to the season.
Justin Bean, the man you see on the screen, is playing like an All-American right now. He's got numbers, well, he's kind of got like Fardaws Amac numbers. That's the ones you saw last week.
Yeah, he's a 22-12 guy shooting 66% from the field. He's playing just elite level basketball, and he's doing it all in the concept of his team. He's not force feeding shots. He's just going and earning them through the kind of actions they're playing. He's a real talent. He's had a terrific start to his season.
And he also leads their team in steals.
Yep.
In addition to everything else he does.
He's a do-it-all guy, and he's got the best motor on the team. I mean, he's doing everything on the court. He's their best cutter. He's one of their highest IQ guys on a team full of really high IQ guys. He's a terrific basketball player.
Metrics like him as well, like the Aggies, that is. 61st in KenPom and 52nd in the early net numbers. And so this is a good game, regardless of venue, good game for both teams.
Yep, everyone's been good, haven't they? This is another one. So.
First game of a 2-game week. Next up will be the Creighton Blue Jays on the weekend. This will be a neutral court game, but closer to Omaha than Provo, certainly. We'll be going to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, to the Sanford Pentagon for BYU and Creighton. They played last on the weekend, lost to Iowa State at home, and they will not play until they face you on the weekend, right?
Yeah, this is like, one of the things we did poorly with our scheduling is that we keep playing games that have a week teams that have a week to prepare for us. Utah State's had a week to prepare for us. Utah had a week to prepare us. Utah Valley had a long time to prepare for us, and now, of course, Creighton's going to have a long time to prepare. So Me and Coach Robbins got to put our heads together and figure that out. That's been tough. But this Creighton team's great. I love Coach McDermott. I think he's one of the most innovative, creative guys at maneuvering the tag in pick and rolls, about putting your tag in a bad position that there is in college basketball. And so we're really excited about that game also. It's a great week of basketball.
Another great name for you as well. Creighton's, it's a kind of a basketball power playing in a great league.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, Utah State, Creighton, that is your week. All right, coming up, we'll be taking a break and then questions for the coach from social media as BYU basketball with Mark Pope continues. Stay with us.
Goal scorer of all time, greatest player ever up, and she just missed by inches her first.
All right, we are back on BYU basketball with Mark Pope. Great during commercial break conversation going on here with the coach. We should have kept it going. We are presented by Siegfried and Jensen, and welcome back to the program. All right, time for some Q&A for Coach Pope from social media. Let's get to our first question from Twitter. It's about Tiki Aliatiki and injuries. With Atiki probably taking some more minutes because of team injuries as a big, what role will we see out of him?
He's got the potential of being a great rebounder and a great rim protector and a great post scorer. He actually does have potential. He's going to become all three of those things. We need him to become those things tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
So we'll see how that
right
goes.
Away. Question number 2. How has the team rallied around Gavin Baxter after his season-ending injury?
Yeah, so I know all the guys have been in contact with him. It just was so awful. So after the game, I went over there late that night, and we just kind of sat, and there's just, this one, Greg, I don't have the words to make it better. Like, it was just hard, but the one thing that Gavin knows, he knows how much these guys love him. I know they're all excited about his engagement, and these guys will stay in touch. They're dear friends, so we'll be in touch every day going forward.
Okay, question 3 for Coach. How can coaching help players find their three-point stroke in game if you sense things are going a certain way?
I like it. So today I learned from the media that we are 333rd in three-point percentage. I mean, who gets to be 333rd in three-point percentage? And we're 3rd in three-point percentage defense. So there's a little trend going on. We're super comfortable with the way we shoot and how we shoot it. The one thing we're going to do is we continue to focus on owning our shot and finishing our shot. And then right now, with us changing the pace of the game, we should be able to create even better and better shots for each other, and that's the way we approach it.
What do you mean in terms of changing? How are you going to work on pace, or what's going to happen with pace?
So we're playing smaller. We got more skilled guys on the floor. We have more capable guys that command space on the floor. We got more guys that can make high-speed decisions on the floor. It certainly is going to take away our dominating rebounding advantage, but it's of necessity right now. So one of the things that we expect to have happen is we'll shoot the ball better. In the first half of the Missouri State game, we shot it really, really well, and we expect to see that more.
Because you've been a slower tempo team first couple weeks, we could see that number creep up a little bit?
Yes, I expect to. We've been a smash-mouth basketball team, and so we just have to change now of necessity.
Yeah. All right, question 4. What kind of resources will BYU Hoops need to add as we transition, BYU that is, from WCC to Big 12?
Well, we're blessed with unbelievable resources right now. This annex that Coach Rose built is so amazing, and the Marriott Center is the best venue in the Big 12, and so hopefully we'll just kind of continue pushing ahead of the game as much as we can in terms of our facilities, because right now we're in a great spot.
Okay, you mentioned Marriott Center. The building is 50 years old this year, right? We go all around the country, and we go to many, many, many arenas that are 20, 30 years newer than the Marriott Center, and it shows its wear and tear. The stuff you don't find at the Marriott Center. It is incredible how well kept this building has been, how well maintained it's been. It is immaculate, 50 years old, and because so many other buildings we see fall into more, disrepair much quicker. And this building is almost kind of still pristine. And granted, a lot of refurbishments have made it look really good. But I mean, how blessed to be in a building that looks that good at 50.
I'm telling you this, the fiscal management here at BYU is incredible, because every new building has to be endowed before you actually put a shovel in the ground. And that is the exact opposite of the way that every other university is working. Like, they almost put a shovel in the ground when they get their first dollar, and then they end up paying and paying and paying. Whereas what we have is, every year you have to take the endowment money and you have to spend it on some renovation or improvement of the building. It's not taking new money, it's just taking the earnings off of the endowment money. And it just is the brilliance of the leaders of this institution that they have that in state. And that's why this Marriott Center is, it's 50 years old. It may be the oldest building of any buildings in the Big 12. I don't know if that's true, but I'm telling you right now, it's probably the nicest one.
Yeah, we're very, very fortunate indeed. Good stuff. All right, let's take a break and tell you that you can tune in tomorrow night for Countdown to Tip-Off with Jerem and Tyler Haas getting geared up for BYU and Utah State basketball. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then stick around for the tip on BYUtv at 9. Coming up next, Deep Blue will profile volleyball's Kenzie Korber. And Hunter Erickson joins us in Studio C when BYU Basketball with Mark Pope continues. Stay with us.
BYU Basketball with Mark Pope is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen, helping Utah families for over 30 years. Smith's, fresh for everyone. And by Cascade Collision Repair, serious about perfection.
Welcome back to the show here in Studio C here in Provo, Utah. Well, a Thursday in Pittsburgh, the BYU women's volleyball team continues its NCAA tournament run by playing Purdue in the round of 16. Helping the Cougars progress through the field is a player who took a unique path to Provo, as we learn in tonight's edition of Deep Blue, presented by Brady Industries. Simply better.
Bauer pulled to the 10-meter line. Korber, no problem. 7 kills in the first set for the former U.
My heart hasn't felt this happy in a long time. It's been a hard 4 years, and the past 2.5 years have been great. My first 2 years at college were a little bit rough for me, but past 2.5 years have been really a good change for me. Back when I was a junior in high school, I didn't know why I felt like I had to come to Utah, but I felt like I had to, and I committed here, and I got here, and it was a great experience. I had a great career up there, but freshman and sophomore year, I was 6'2", same height I am now, but I weighed 130 pounds. I didn't know I had depression until some of these things that happened in my life, and I ended up having to meet with a psychologist 3 times a week. I was put on depression medication. I was in such a dark place, I'd just wake up and be like, I don't want to eat today.
To just see her so sad, to me, it was the question, is this really worth it? You know, like, yes, you're getting a great education, you're on scholarship, but it's not worth it if you're having the mental issues that, you know, and problems.
When she would feel like depressed or needed see somebody, she would drive over to my sister's places or her cousins, get a meal, talk to some of the younger cousins that are more in her age that can relate.
After those 2 years, I'm standing in the mirror and I'm like, I'm rock bottom. Like, my life is at an all-time low. I grew up non-denominational Christian. We went to a little Christian church right in Chino Hills, California, and I knew there was something. I knew, you know, there's God, and I knew that Jesus Christ was his son, but I didn't really know, like, I didn't have answers.
She just started asking me all these questions, and they were like really good questions, like really deep, and I was like, I'm on the spot right now, like I gotta answer these the right way.
I had all these questions, but she had answers, and she knew, like, she had a response to my questions, and I was like, all right, next one. And I'd ask her another one, and she'd be like, okay, and she'd have an answer, and I was like, why does she have an answer to everything?
She was already really invested from the start. Like, her questions were genuine, and like, you could tell she just wanted that truth right from the beginning.
My aunt had sent me a video where she was like, hey, I want you to watch this video when you have the chance. So I'm watching this video, and it's not even really a sad video, and all of a sudden I just feel like this weight kind of pressing down on my chest, and I'm like, what is going on? And I start bawling, and I'm like crying my eyes out watching this video by myself, like no one's in the locker room, and I'm like, what is going on? And I like finish the video, and I'm like crying, and I text Olivia. I just remember that moment like so vividly still. She was like, I'm in the fueling station, I'll come to the locker room. So she runs down the hall, knocks on the door, and I open the door, and we just like hug. And we're both crying, and we're hugging each other, and it was, that to me was the first experience I had where I knew, like, this is true and this is the life that I want to live.
I was thinking about some of the experiences that happened and stuff, and like I still get goosebumps when I think about like what happened and like the day of her baptism and like the first time she felt the Holy Ghost and just like all these things. It strengthened my testimony and like strengthened our friendship.
Once I was baptized and found the church and the effect that it had on my life, I knew that BYU was a place I wanted to be because I knew it would help me progress as a person and not just a player. And a big reason why I felt comfortable coming here was I played for Heather in Japan back in 2019 for 2 weeks with Heather Knighting was actually on the team, and it was just the best experience, and I hold those memories so near to me all the time because it was such an eye-opening experience to play volleyball in a different country, but the memories that I made with my teammates and the coaches, and I just felt like I had this really personable connection with Heather.
One night after dinner, we were walking back to our hotel, and she told me that 2 weeks previous to our trip in Japan, she was baptized a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I spun my head around and I said, "What?" And she said she was baptized. And so she was open and vulnerable and told me her conversion story, was able to connect with her about her baptism, and it was really special to hear her conversion story, and you could see the light in her eyes, you could see how happy she was, and that started, the good connection that we have.
She fulfilled her commitment to Utah. I said, "Hey, it's a good program, you got a good education out of it, what do you want to do now? You want to stay at Utah? Utah's never been to a Final Four like BYU has." So I kind of convinced her, like, maybe you want to stay close to, what you know and where you're at and the values of what brings BYU and the state of Utah and the church brings to you, because your values are there. And it was a no-brainer after that.
To finish my 4 years at Utah and feel like this was the right path for me. I mean, I thought about going pro after this spring season. I thought about staying at Utah. I thought about even just being done with volleyball and just getting a real job. None of those really brought me the peace that I felt if I came to BYU.
Her faith is so strong now. Being here at BYU, it's a whole new dynamic. She's so happy. I have friends, family that see her on TV and just say how happy she is playing on this team. She's just thriving now and never complaining about going to practice or anything, so it's just a great feeling.
The neat thing about Kenzie is she is this experienced player who's coachable and wants to learn. She's in the gym every day wanting feedback, and she wants to get better. And she's got this little bit of time left here at BYU where she's enjoying every single moment, every practice, every match, every road trip. You can see the excitement in her eyes for what she wants to do with BYU volleyball and the goals that she has with the girls on our team.
The happiness that I've felt with this team and these coaches and the friends that I've made here and the experiences that I've had, like, I wish my whole life felt like that, but I know I had to go through what I had to go through for a reason.
I think it's our first non-basketball Deep Blue we've had here on this basketball show. But what a great story, right?
It's, I'm telling you, we watched it this weekend. We're going to watch it next weekend. We watched it 2 weekends ago. These women that are here at BYU, specifically recently in cross country and women's basketball now that's ranked, and women's soccer, and now women's volleyball. Like, these women are extraordinary. They're leaders, and they're powerful, and they're strong, and they're confident, and they're believers. It is incredible. It just is inspiring to watch. Like, it just is awesome. I got to watch the penalty kicks with my girls. I have 4 daughters, and I got to watch it with Leanne and 3 of my daughters last night. And just to watch these incredibly strong, wise, mature, great women doing these incredible things in the world is a gift to all of us.
You and Leanne have a daughter playing Division I college basketball right now, again, after her mission.
That's right.
And that's a part of your season that you're going through right now, is her season as well. And I know Leanne got out there to watch her play in person just a couple weeks ago, and how's that going?
Oh, man, it's so great. So we played at Missouri State the exact time she was playing Richmond. And so, like, it's so fun to, like, finally, get through all the we have so much post-game stuff we have to get through all the post-game stuff, and I couldn't wait to call her and be like, all right, tell me what happened, and we get to swap notes. It's really special.
And she's playing for she's playing for Ohio. Playing for Ohio University. Yeah. All right, excellent stuff. Let's get to our player guest. Let's do it. It was more than 4 years ago that Timpview High School's Hunter Erickson signed a letter of intent with BYU. Tonight, it's our intent to get to know him a little bit better on the Pope Show. Please welcome into Studio C, Hunter Erickson. Good to see you.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming in.
Let's go, man. Come on. How are you?
So I just brought up that time frame, 2017. I think you and Trevin, did you guys sign at the same time here at BYU? You and Trevin Nell? I think that might have been the case.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he just switched from Cal.
From Cal, right. So wow, that's 4 years ago.
Yeah.
This is a long time, but it feels like you're still just getting going.
I know.
How does that time frame kind of feel to you when you think about signing with BYU that long ago?
It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but I don't know. A mission always feels like just sometimes you come back and it feels like a dream when you're thinking back on it, but it's still pretty crazy. Happy to be here.
Take us back to your high school days a little bit and how you made the decision to come to BYU. Was it like a lifelong goal of yours to play here? Were you pretty open? What were your thoughts?
No, I mean, obviously I grew up in Provo, but I honestly didn't want to be the kid that was like, oh, you grew up in Provo, went to Timpview, and then you go to BYU kind of thing. And then just as I got older and the recruiting process, it wasn't Coach Pope obviously here at the time, but I just felt like the guys here with Coach Rose and everything, I just felt like they genuinely cared about me. And so I thought it was the best fit for me.
So clearly the staff at the time was a big part of the attraction. The school itself played into it. When they made the coaching change and it was now Coach Pope's program, what were you kind of processing at that point?
I honestly had no idea because I was like mid-mission.
Yeah.
And so I had talked to him a little bit when he had been at UVU. Nothing too serious or anything, but my mission president just gave me permission to have a couple phone calls with him. And so just called him and was like, what's up? Like, what are you thinking? I don't really know what I'm thinking. Like, I'd still like to come here. Like, do you want me kind of thing? And
let's have him pick it up. How'd it go from there?
It's, first of all, it's so disorienting. Can you imagine, like, these young men, Hunter and young women go serve. They go serve on these 2-year missions, and you put your whole life aside, and then right in the middle of it, your whole life is turned upside down because, like, what you thought you were coming back to is way different, right? It's just it's unbelievable. And so, when I finally got to Hunter, I was so hyped. I was like, let's go, man. This is going to be great. I knew I had to try and recruit them all over again, and he's been a gift to this team, man. He's responsible for everyone we've had so far. He's doing such an unbelievable job.
What did you think about him as a high school player? What have you seen him grow into already as a young college player?
Yeah, so he was a super athletic, really skilled scorer for sure, with the capability, I think, of growing into a terrific defender, which he actually showed us in this Missouri State game. And he was nearly perfect defensively in his 15 minutes in the game. The best is yet to come with what Hunter Erickson is able to do here at BYU. We've talked about this before, but he has been working so hard and been so patient with this process, and so he's going to burst onto the scene and make a huge difference.
Yeah, maybe that role of patience, realizing that your career can last a long time, many years, and to not be too anxious too early. How have you kind of process that and realize that your time is coming and will come and is coming now even?
I honestly felt, last year I guess it was a little tougher for me, but I felt like it was very similar to my situation in high school. I was on varsity my freshman year and felt like I should play at least a little bit, felt like I was good enough kind of thing, and I feel like I didn't handle that well at that time. And so when I was here and kind of felt like those same emotions and everything, I felt like I knew how to handle it a lot better. And just moving forward after that, all last year, like, I trust Coach Pope kind of thing. Everyone can say what they want from the outside, but I know the kind of man he is, and I've seen the kind of man he is. And so I trust him with how he's going to make this team be what it can be.
So Hunt played huge minutes in Missouri State game, and he actually, after the game, he came to me and was like, hey, Coach, you know, I'm glad you finally came to it. We would have won at UVU if you played me 15 minutes there too. So he's laying down a gauntlet right now.
So much attention on a player's offensive skills and abilities, which you have, but he alluded to defense a minute ago, being a perfect defender in your stint, for example. What does it mean to you to play perfect defense for him, and how much more focused are you now than you ever thought you'd be on that part of your game, the defensive part?
A lot. I mean, in high school, just the system I was in, I guess, it was really just, not that we didn't care about defense, but it was just run and gun. Like, we were just going to outscore you kind of thing, and we did. But so the side effect of that was my defense wasn't the greatest, but I had been really blessed with some athleticism. So hopefully moving forward, as you've seen, hopefully I can be a defender that can make those kind of plays that other guys can't just because of athleticism, and as well be grounded.
Okay, Coach Pope and I don't have this particular concern, but you have to figure out what to do with your hair from day to day, week to week. And you've done a few things in the last few months. How do you describe your process when it comes to what's going to happen with you up top here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I had no idea. I just started growing out my hair going into the summer. And so once I knew school was getting close and everything, I was like, okay, I'm gonna need to cut it. And I had just, sophomore year of high school, for some reason, I just got a mohawk. And then it was my mom's idea, ironically enough. She's like, you wanna bleach it? I was like, sure, why not? Why not? And then I did. And then just kind of like here in Utah, high school basketball, I just kind of was like kind of known for that. I had a bleached mohawk. And so it's like, I might as well go back to it now that we're getting to basketball season, school's starting. So
this is about as chilled as it gets for you, though, right? Like right now, what we're dealing with, this is pretty conservative for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah.
This is super like debonair, like stylish.
Pretty
right?
suave.
Like if you're in a suit right now, you could walk into a board meeting and be like, yeah, this is my joint. Probably a suit without a tie, yes?
Little
top button undone kind of thing.
Quickly, the time we have with you, the bounce back from UVU to Missouri State. I mean, how huge was that for this program to not let one loss become two and just kind of get back on the winning track last week?
Definitely big time. And obviously with the hit we took with Gavin and everything, we've had to switch up a little bit how we're doing things. But when you got guys like Alex and T-John, who've had the experience, more experience than all of us basically, like, they're able to lead us, bring us together, and it's about the team and moving forward, like getting better every day. We say that every day. So next game, hardest game we're ever going to play, and we're going to play the hardest we've ever played.
What do you see Hunter being for this program when all is said and done?
He's going to be a star. I'm telling you, we talk about the insides of guys a lot, like the insides. Like the insides is really what makes us who we become. Like interesting enough, he tests out right now in our combine, he tests out as one of the top overall athletes that would be put up with first-round draft picks in the NBA draft of rookies, right? So he's really, really athletic, but his insides right now that he's proving that he's going to come, work hard, and get better every single day bodes so well for his future. I still, although I don't know Hunt likes this, I still like to think of him as a freshman. I know he's super excited about maybe getting his PhD before he finishes here at BYU, but he's got every bit of future that he wants here at BYU. He's going to be a star.
And finally, Hunt, another in-state game tomorrow night, Utah State. Your thoughts?
It's going to be a battle for sure, just like we've seen with all of them, and it'll be really fun. I grew up playing with two of their guys.
Who do you know best then on the team?
Rylan Jones and Stephen Ashworth. Okay. I grew up playing with them my entire life. They've both been on teams, been on my team and on teams I played against. So it'll be really fun to be on the court with both of them, you know.
And back in the Marriott Center.
Yep.
Good
back.
stuff. Great to have you, and we'll do this again for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. Hunter Erickson, folks, and we are heading to break with some trivia brought to you by Cascade Collision Repair, serious about perfection. Tyler Haws is tied for the BYU career lead all-time in free throws attempted. With whom is he tied? You see the silhouette on the left and the number of letters in his first and last name in those blank spots. The answer is coming up next. Answer, and Leanne had it immediately.
I didn't know, and Leanne like Mark, it's Devin Durant.
Yes, Devin Durant is the answer to our skill testing trivia question. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern, for BYU Basketball with Mark Pope. For Mark and Hunter, I'm Greg. Have a great week. And producer Hema. Hema, we love you. See ya. Take care.